Good evening, everybody. System Chalk here with the 82nd episode of House of Light, our first run through the expansion on YouTube, playing as the archaeologist. Now, I have been feeling a bit of a scratch in my throat all day, so I am probably not doing a wise thing by recording the episode today, but I also think if I wait any longer, I'm possibly not going to be well enough to to deliver any episode. So this should be Fridays by my reckoning. And if I recall correctly, the only thing that we have left is pouring all the drinks for the salon. So I think I'd said that I was going to use the dandelion wine. So we can pour one of those and bring up a new bottle. Alright. So I can't remember who the heart guest was. So we had D.R. Moore, Arthur. I guess it was Ignistus. Anyways, he's going for water. I always wondered if, just kind of the way that I play, I always thought it was a little funny that, there were some guests, who'd get these very special drinks, and then, there's the one guy sort of sitting there, with, water. But then it occurred to me the whole reason why I'm serving water is because it reflects a preference. So I'm trying not to feel like a complete cheapskate, serving water for the salon, but still feels a little weird. Alright. I should probably send a support ticket because it feels like the placement's a little different from what it used to be. We got it. Okay, and where were we? Okay, so I might as well pour. Actually, so I said pour the drinking cocoa, but an equally reasonable option here would be the witching tisane. And we've got that ready to go, or will when I finally place it. And, okay, so we've got our lanterns, we've got our grail. Right, we needed something for Strathcoin. I think I was going to go for the Roscragan whiskey. No, hang on. Roscragan doesn't have a Strathcoin whiskey that has scale. Thought I had something ready to go, but apparently not. We'll find a candidate. It's just kind of hoping to have one that was readily available. Okay. So we do have the wines. Domaine Reveline will do the trick. Yeah, seems like the best option at this point. Okay. And I suppose, because I haven't done the invitations yet while we're working overnight, I might as well send out what I can. We're good enough in terms of most of the skills now to be able to invite the people that I want. Okay, so Douglas Moore. I'm going to try and do this in the order I have them written down just so I don't lose track. Nope. Apparently, I didn't keep one of my menus. Okay. Not that hard to bring Coquille with great signs and great scars. An afternoon spent profitably reading newspapers to the curious, writing affectionate letters for the lonely, steering farmers through the requirements of the Ministry of Agriculture. Okay. It's Arthur this time. So I did learn through the Twitch playthrough that you can actually have more than one invitation, which I probably should have guessed because it doesn't have the uniqueness color on it, but because ink is something that I actually need to brew, I still don't want to make that mistake just because it'll take me some time to restore, and then I'll need to restore the element of the soul as well. So sorry, we're D.I. Moore, Coquille, Arthur, Fraser is next, I believe. So stone stories should probably be enough anyway. But until we find a typewriter, we're going to be using the ink that's available. Memories fade, assistance departs, but the soul is refreshed. Okay, and it's a snowy day, so I'm not committed yet to hosting the salon. If there's an opportunity that comes up, I should consider taking it. So I'm going to take a minute here and just see what's available with the snow. But before I go any further, let's just get the basics down with the invitations. Especially because if I... Oh, actually, I think Agdistis is Sky. So we're at a point right now where if I want to take advantage of the weather here, there's nothing really keeping me from being able to do that. On the other hand, if I say, okay, we're good to go, I've got the elements that I need, now's the time for me to host the salon. So our options here, we've got Grail and Heart. Okay, so we do have the Worm-Eaten Hall, which is 11 Winter. All right. So, as usual, the challenge here is that we only have the one whist, but let's see with the snow. I technically have the option available to me at any old time with the Wormwood Dream, but we might be able to get by with just spending a bit of money. So, with Mr. Kill... Oh, actually, sorry. I believe we're fine with the curses, but it wouldn't be a bad idea for me to just double check. So this is for Heart, so not relevant. So the Witch Worms are another option here. That might be something I consider if I don't need to use an element of the soul to remove the curse. I might even do that while the salon goes on. But let's focus on Mr. Kill. So we've got Mr. Kill, who's good for 2. Then the Whist. Good for 2. So that brings us up to 4. The Snow. That's 3, which takes us to 7. Yeah, so from there, a Solomon's Prep at 4 brings us up to 11, and we can open the room. So I think I've got a reasonable way of doing this and still getting the salon done. So what I will do here, we do still need to hire Mr. Kill, so we'll have to use the whist no matter what. Mr. Kill likes conversations about endings. His wife prefers to talk about beginnings. A shilling will buy his help for a day. Now, in this case here, actually, let's just move it all up. Let's do it. What I won't do here is use the health to make some money at the Sweet Bones. Reason for that is, you know what I should have done? I should have made sure that I had a Solomon's... Okay, I do. So we're not going to make money at the Sweet Bones because I need to restore that whist as soon as possible. And I also need to apply the whist to Mr. Kill as soon as possible. So we at least have 2 minutes before any of this happens. The other thing I should be doing is sending out the invitations. The postmistress examines the letter and deems it sufficient. It'll go with the next post, she assures me. The other thing I forgot about here, so I was kind of rushing on the Mr. Kill thing because of the snow. But what I didn't appreciate was we may have... Yeah, so Douglas might actually be the guest who arrives on the... Well, we'll see what happens. The yearly stipend from St. Ronwin's has arrived, along with the usual rather sniffy reminder that I should spend it wisely. Okay, so we're going to chat with him about snow to begin with. Talk about the weather, more useful than one might expect, especially in Britain. But I'm thinking maybe I should just hold off on the invitations. If I mess up with Douglas, fair enough. But I think at this point I should be considering rather carefully what the event brings. Actually, the one person I know who won't arrive is Peter Ecdistus. He's already come. Let's take advantage of the weather while it lasts. We can give him the preparation. I can offer my assistants something to drink. This will increase their aspects. They'll also be glad of the refreshment. And that brings them up to 9. Yeah, so we just need 2 more. Which, technically, I could get through a few other things that aren't... whist, but I'm gonna move ahead with the whist. Alright. Let me just double check. I think we left Schaller. Yep, we'll be fine. So we'll send the rest of the letters out now. More to go through. Down to the Grushans. This has boosted their aspects appropriately. Now, we don't have much else to do with Mr. Kill, so we'll just start talking to him. Actually, I should also be talking to Schaller, but we can set that aside. Welcome to D.I. Moore. Better now. Oh, I actually had the opportunity to talk with Mr. Kill. That is a problem, losing 30 seconds like that, but I will make do. So we'll probably be having supper at this point. Stamp, envelope, send. So it's not a huge deal that I'm using the health here now, just because I can, you know, I'm making the money. It's going to take me 30 seconds to level things up with Mr. Kill. The problem here is the minute that it takes me to restore the whist afterwards. So we'll lose probably about 20, 30 seconds on that, maybe. Dead men don't tell no bloody tales. Well, who'd listen? Okay. So collaborate whist, we'll watch for what lies ahead. Boosts winter and lantern. So we'll talk with him about the Lytarian. And again, the important part here is not so much that we have the whist being restored, but we need to make sure that the whist is ready to go at the salon when it comes up, because I don't think we have a lot of options to get the whist ready to go. Or to get, sorry, not get it ready to go, to get another one. Although in fairness, we also don't have a lot of winter people, I don't think. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. Okay. So, it is spring and the landlady has served me a slice of her stargazy pie with the pilchard heads poking cheekily through the hot crust. We'll talk about the god in the wood. Father Stanislav John Schaller, priest, diplomat, gardener, a soft-voiced man with a very steady gaze. Bless you, and bless the house you serve. Let's read the description. The Lytarian, a faddish health camp in the Black Forest, has attracted attention after many of its clients seem to have developed sudden, sometimes upsetting, artistic abilities. These patients, these alumni, shall I say, these initiates? My interest is doubly professional, as a priest and as a gardener. I'd like to understand why there, and I'd also like to understand why now. So heart or nectar really works here. I'm going to speak to some of these people. I have left for a while that... I felt for a while that something is changing in the tempo of the world's pulse. I think that this may be an opportunity for me to understand what. I might be wrong. It's been known, but thank you, librarian. Please take my blessing, and this. So it actually occurred to me I could also talk to him about a couple of his other books, but we are talking about the event now, so I'm going to just commit that. Okay, Strathcoin. And then Ecdistis. And then we have 49 seconds. So yeah, we're gonna... It's a shame I don't want to wait too late in the day. Maybe I'll give it the 30-second mark. Okay. This may still be premature, but... So, for the Salon, hosted in the Hall of Division. Ava de Wolf first furnished this as her Hall of Division, holding feasts where guests were selected by unusual and exacting criteria. Later, Thirza Blake, 7th Librarian, employed the Speculous Pomander to add more mirrors. Lots more mirrors. We have D.I. Douglas Moore, Detective Illuminate of the Suppression Bureau, a stoic but weary fellow. His dearest wish is to move to Chingford and grow roses, but the buggers won't let him retire. Princess Kokil Amirajibi, artist, socialite, burglar, an unspeakably charming woman with a particular knack for getting adopted. Lieutenant Arthur Thomas Moore, retired, hero, pilgrim, traitor. He'll always be a soldier, but never again can he be only a soldier. Mr. Fraser Strathcoin, philanthropist, collector, former librarian, a complicated man but not a cruel one. And Mr. Peter Ecdistis, musician, mystic, impresario. Ecdistis was a dancer once. One cannot see him without knowing it. The wound in his thigh keeps him from the stage, but his every movement still has the cadence of a prayer. Okay. Bring light back to the mirrors where once Lady Ava held court. Here one might have lunch in the afternoon, supper in the evening. Oh, sorry, I should probably read the things we're serving. Marinated roast beef, but since we have learnt from all vaporing France to eat their ragoûts as well as to dance, we're fed up with nothing but vain complaisance. Oh, the roast beef of old England and old English roast beef. Cold pheasant with grape salad. This was the sort of dish you might expect to find for a late supper after the theater or halfway through a ball. Arbella Boxer. Pickled mushrooms. You'll learn to like them. Stuffed golden marrow. This marrow was accounted a beauty among its kind. Now it's a dish for those who understand fidelity. An orange jumble. They should be the size of teacup rims and should curl their crisp edges faintly pink as the underneath of a young mushroom. Lady Jekyll. Kitchen essays. My guests take their places for lunch. Try and put on a nice show. Show as much of the hall as I can. Lunch and supper last longer than less formal salons, allowing you an extra interaction between your guests. So 30 seconds was probably... Okay, inject a little gaiety, add a core card. Had with a fast with a fast response, we would have been able to make it, but I definitely think I should give it a few more seconds in future. Better now. I think I'm gonna earn a little bit of money. I'm not crazy about interrupting the salon like this, but I think we need the cash at this point. Agnestis invites Arthur to visit him in Berlin, but Arthur shakes his head. I can do without the temptation. The old ties would be too much for me. The war, I mean. We both know what's coming. Conversation ebbs and flows. Raise a complex question. All right. The whist pays off. We'll do a recap of the God in the Wood later. I'll see if I can sneak in a lesson or two. Arthur and Fraser are discussing the Al-Theban Abyss near Baghdad. Fraser hopes the power that stirs there might be connected to the Carapace Cross, but Arthur firmly dissuades him. If once it was Cross, he says, it belongs to something else now. Oh, and that's an interaction. Ah, okay. So I'm just going to make a note here about a further interaction between Arthur and Fraser. Say something witty at a shaft card. Fraser would like to know what Douglas proposes to do about raw profits. Douglas doesn't plan to do anything about raw profits. Fraser would like to know then what the Bureau intends to do about raw profits. Douglas expresses his confusion. Fraser expresses his irritation. Douglas expresses his inability to do anything about raw profits. Both men agree that raw profits aren't the kind of thing you can really do anything about. So that stone stories will probably help. Invite a challenge. Add a metal card. We're doing pretty well for the salon. So no point in restoring the element of the soul at this point. We're really just raising some cash. I don't think we'll have much of an opportunity to level things up, but it's still nice to have some options available. Douglas and Arthur have a business-like chat about the edge dyad known as Dyrdae and Torg and the trouble they've caused over the years, which is abruptly derailed when Douglas, who is after all a detective, pierces the veil of discretion surrounding Arthur's family history and realizes that the coincidence of surnames is not a coincidence, and that he is Arthur's great-nephew. I wondered about the connection of the names. Douglas's emotions are manifest only in his repetition of the phrase, "Well, I'll be blowed," and then an unusually long handshake at the evening's end. Douglas and Arthur realized they were family. These two might say something else on the matter if you invite them both back for another salon. All right. I'll be blowed. Arthur and Douglas will keep in cautious contact. Say something witty. Alright, I think we made all the challenges during the salon. So I better hope it's not something related to scale that I'm going to work with, because I've used up all those elements. Coquille and Ecdistis are talking contemporary dance. Ooh, drums and dances is good. Night has fallen, dawn will come soon. So I'll probably want to make some choices about my memories soon. Oh. Alright, I need another whist. So we were doing so well, but it was the extra one that actually got me here. So let's take a minute and see what my options are. Sorry, I'm just taking a second here to bring up the skill sheet. So my whist would come from Ithistry or Hushery. So Ithistry is a fairly remote possibility, but let's see. So for that to happen, I would need a 3, 4, and 6. So theoretically here, I could put, I think it was Inks of Containment I was going to put as 3. So the question then would be, what would my 4 and 5 for a Macastry be? And I think the answer is none of them. Yeah, I left it... I left too little. Okay, I think I can learn to live without the last whist. Oh, what I should be doing, though, is I should... Well, it won't matter because I need the skills. My guests leave happy. You've gained an additional potent memory, which presumably, if it's a curious hunch, we've already got. I think if I look at Thomas More, yeah. Author is fond of his newly acquainted great-nephew, Douglas. I think that's the only, yeah, combination we've got. So, satisfaction, curious hunch. So there's drums and dances. Pretty unlikely we'll make that one work. Now, Coil and Chasm, unfortunately, is Scale and Nectar, so I don't have any options on keeping that one. Stone Stories is also Scale and Nectar, so those are 2 non-starters. But the Auroral Contemplations is interesting to me. I think that one might have been an Illumination. In fact, if that's an Illumination, no matter what, we should probably be using it. Actually, I think I might have had that for Nyctodromi now that I look at the... Yeah, the fact that it's not currently written down for the other ones. Anyways, either way, it's definitely more than 3. So, alright. So my options for leveling this thing up. So let's act as though I only get 1 crack at this. So there's Auroral Contemplations for 2. Coil and Chasm Stone Stories are off the table. Disciplines of the Scar. I don't even think I have that. So that's an easy one to add, but that doesn't require any memories. Yep. And then Drums and Dances. So if I had 5 to work with, great, but we've got Satisfaction, we've got Cheerful Ditty. That's about it. So I think the answer here is we're going to level up Auroral Contemplations. This may cost me on the... this might cost me overnight. In fact, let's maybe say we'll use the Arab here. I'm no expert, but I'm no dabbler either. And I almost let this slip, but we've also got the Worm-Eaten Hall. So this place bears the unmistakable traces of worms, the serpents which are no serpents. They are almost certainly gone, but we'll take no chances. Worms are difficult to evict from buildings, but much harder to evict from people. Okay. Yeah, so Arthur Moore was pretty useful for connections today. The last thing that we'll do is a recap of the Affair of the God in the Wood. The Lytarian, a faddish health camp in the Black Forest, has attracted attention after many of its clients seem to have developed sudden, sometimes upsetting artistic abilities. Mr. Ecdistis resolved to experiment with honey. Eason noted a resemblance between the operations of the Lytarian and the work of Thirza Blake, 7th librarian of the house. Father Schaller resolved to speak to some of the patrons of the Lytarian, hoping to understand a change in the tempo of the world's pulse. And I do want to see if I can at least... I'll probably just have to put the Disciplines of the Scar in and we'll... Oop. We'll probably have to resolve acquiring Disciplines of the Scar at the beginning of the next episode, but that's not a huge hardship if that happens. Excellent. Okay, so we get our Element of the Soul back. I'm happy about that. No real reason to hold off on the Consider, so we will take Disciplines of the Scar. I do note, by the way, that while I wanted to get the Blue Crown in winter, the whole winter passed by without me actually getting any, so a little bit of a shame, but we can manage. And, okay, yeah, so 23 seconds left for the room. I think what I'll do is we'll start off the next week's session with that, because I think I'm going to have a little bit of cleanup to do for the salon. It's nice that we got 2 lessons down. So I'm going to need 5. I think we're going to definitely level up Drums and Dances, and I'm somewhat inclined to level up Stone Stories as well. It's a little weird because both of them wind up sort of giving me the nectar, but the thing with Drums and Dances is it's helpful for making other things, particularly the Hive's Lament, which will be a way that I get rid of Keeper's Skin. Mildly tempted to do something about the Serenity of the Blackwood as well, but of course we have lots and lots of books already, so I don't know. I need to figure out a better system for that. But yeah, overall I'm feeling pretty good about where we are. Coil and Chasm, we haven't committed yet, so I don't know. There's options. But maybe I just need to decide where I am with these others first. So yeah, I think probably the way it'll work, we kind of got everything done at the very start of the season, so I think what we do, we'll work out a little bit of a game plan for Drums and Dances, Stone Stories, and Coil and Chasm. I can definitely see myself leveling those up individually, but what I might want to do next is move up on some of the... I want to maybe see if I can move up the Horamakistry branch. And that's just because that unlocks some more stuff for me. And then maybe from there we'll consider what books am I locked out of as far as skills are concerned. And at that point maybe we consider putting some extra levels in. Because at this point with Edicts Martial, like, we can clearly make another Wormwood Dream, so anything with Moon and Winter. It's not that we have the ability to read any old book with Moon and Winter, but we have a pretty good shot with most of the ones that we're looking for. So now's maybe the time for us to work out a bit of a game plan in terms of getting those skills up higher when I'm choosing not to open up certain rooms. But all of that will be handled next week. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you all have a nice and restful weekend. Until then, take care.